All right, so my eyesight got worse after wearing multifocal contacts, right? As I sit here today, my vision is actually worse after putting these contacts in my eyes, right? But before I talk about where I am today, let me just kind of go back and tell you about my journey, right? So maybe about 30 years or so ago, me playing baseball, all of a sudden I realized I wasn't seeing the ball as well. My friends would always like make fun of me of like, hey, why are you squinting, right? So, I realized that, hey, there was something up with my vision. So I ended up trying the sports goggles at first. That lasted maybe about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, where I just felt trapped. I felt like I was like in a fishbowl, and it wasn't conducive for me trying to play sports, right? So anyhow, I convinced my mom to let me try contacts, right? So got fitted for contacts, and right away that actually helped me to improve in baseball. All of a sudden now I was seeing the ball bigger and better, and I was hitting better. So contacts at that point were like it was like a savior, right? So I ended up doing that for maybe about 5 years or so. And picture me, I was probably 19, 20 at that, the tail end of contacts. And I wasn't as responsible, wasn't as diligent, and I wasn't taking care of my eyes like I should have, right? Like I know how important they are, like what can happen if you don't, right? So maybe I was extending the contacts a little bit longer, not cleaning them as often, and just what I really just wasn't doing the proper eye care, right? So they started to irritate me more, and it started to become more of a bother, right? So at that time, I started to hear a lot of commercials, Dr. Panu, LASIK surgery. So once again, I convinced my mom, this is what I need for baseball. And I ended up doing the LASIK surgery, right? Did it with Dr. Panu, and that was excellent. 20/20 vision. But I do remember the doctor telling me, Mr. Osborne, when you turn 39 and a half to 40 years old, it's going to start to decline, right? And I remember that probably exactly when I was 39 and a half, it probably just hit me like, whoa, I used to read that sign clearly, right? So right at that point, it just started taking a turn downwards, right? My vision. But really, to be honest with you, my vision was probably still better than most of my friends. Like I still was seeing probably very close to 20/20, maybe 20/25, especially in my distance, right? But from that point on, it just started slowly declining. Now, fast forward, and maybe about 2 years ago, all of a sudden now my close, like my reading, all of a sudden now that became a problem, right? I felt like I needed longer arms, like I had longer arms to start reading. And the part that really was bothering was that I started to get eye strain, right? So because of trying to struggle and straining, my eyes just continued to feel tired. Right. Kind of went back to glasses. The problem with my glasses, I think, was I found this Nike pair that I really liked, but they were like a thinner lens. So they had a part to obviously see distance, and then the bottom were readers, right? But because it was so thin, it almost felt like those two sections ran into each other, right? With a larger frame, it probably would have been better. So did it help? Yes, it helped me a lot, but I still felt when I needed to read, especially at night, if I came home and I knew I was kind of done, I would actually just use little readers that I picked up from the grocery store or the pharmacy, right? Some 1.5s, and I would use that, all right? And that actually helped me and kind of helped a little bit, but still I was struggling with the eye strain. So at this point, again, I said, okay, LASIK, I'm probably not gonna want to explore doing it for a second time. That didn't seem like the best option for me, so I didn't even explore it, right? I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe if you did it, if you want to comment down below, have you done LASIK a second time? How did it work out? But currently, I'm not even exploring it. So I decided to give contacts a try again. Called around, ended up doing my contact lens eye exam today. And, pretty much with my distance, she was like, well, look, your distance is still good. You were seeing things on the 2025 line. You actually saw a few on the 2020 line. So my distance was still good. Now my close-up, that was where she's like, well, you're not terrible, but that's where you really need some improvement. So my prescription for the contacts ended up being 1.75, right? And at that point she was like, okay, what do you want to get fitted for? Do you want to do dailies or do you want to do monthlies? So I was like, well, like what about bi-weekly, right? She was like, well, and I was like, look, my best friend, he has, I believe it's the Acuvue Oasys, and he loves them. He says he doesn't feel anything, and he highly recommends it, right? So, that's what I'm interested in. And it really was like, she really was trying to convince me to either do the dailies or the monthly. Now, what I realized is that, doctors are probably trying to protect us from ourselves, right? You sign up, you get a bi-weekly. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are going to try to push it, right? Let me just turn my bi-weekly into 3 weeks. Let me push it. I'll clean it. Let me push it to a month, right? And, a lot of things can go bad. So, it really, in fact, she asked me a direct question. Hey, are you going to change it every 2 weeks? And of course, my answer was, of course, doc, right? So I got to hold that end of the bargain. If I do the bi-weekly, I have to change it every 2 weeks. I'm gonna have to figure out a system for doing that. But I kind of stuck to my guns. I told her I wanted to go with the Acuvue Oasys Multifocal. So she did place an order for that. Now she gave me some trial pairs. These are the pairs that I'm actually wearing right now. And from the time that I put them on, my vision actually got worse, right? As I sit here today, right now, my vision feels worse than if I walked into that doctor's office without contacts, without glasses, and was just looking around. I actually feel worse right now. Now, I actually questioned myself, did I put them in right? I know back in the day, technology has obviously changed. It was kind of easier to see that little inverted shape when you had them in wrong. Now I really flipped them both sides, and it was really hard to tell. But from what I remember, if they were wrong and I put them in my eyes, they would feel like they want to come out, right? So from looking at them, from putting them in my eyes and them feeling comfortable, I do feel in hindsight that I did get them correct. And yet my vision is worse, right? So the real reason of this video, right, is to basically share where I am today. And maybe there's someone else, maybe you are thinking about getting contacts. Maybe you just got your test. Maybe you're in the same situation that I am, right? You put on contacts and you're, disappointed like I am. And you're going to look, you're trying to figure out what's the next step, right? What's plan B? So if you're someone else that actually went through it and found a solution, comment down below. Or if you are a professional and you can share like what would be my next step, right? If my Acuvue Oasys come in, and after trying them, I still do not feel or do not see an improvement, what is the next step? Do I get fitted for dailies, monthlies? What should I be planning for ahead, right? I'm gonna continue to cross my finger, hope that when the Acuvues come in, that they are gonna be better. I also do wanna mention that even though my eyesight didn't get better, throughout the day, there was a point that I felt a little dry. And I actually use these. I believe it's called Ivizia. So this, I'll link it down below. It's a preservative free. So if if you're wearing contacts, you do have to have a preservative free drops, right? So I did that, and that actually helped me with some comfort. Okay. But once again, if you are a professional out there, comment down below so you can potentially help me and help anybody else that might be in the same situation, right? That is the purpose of this video. And if you're thinking about it, if you want, subscribe. I'm going to actually do a follow-up and let you know what transpired after I actually got the Acuvues, if that worked, whether or not I had to switch to a daily or a monthly. But I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, guys. So once again, thank you for sticking around if you're still here, and I'll be sure to give you guys an update. All right, see you in the next video.